100 recently spoke about you and he says you're next.
Why would you say that, bro? Why would you wish that for me?
Well, I don't know if he was wishing that. I think he's just thinking about, like, you know, in terms of, you know, people want to get the target, like the high profile target, and if Foolio is out the way, now they're like, well, the only way to make another thing is you.
Come forward. I try to hold RV.
Yungeen Ace has decided to stop tweeting about Alaska, likely following Lil Baby's move to shut down 4PF. The worlds of Yungeen Ace and Julio Foolio seem to be falling apart. AKK is done for good. In an Instagram video, TK shared a message saying, "It's over, no more talking. Everyone's had their chance to speak, but when it's time to step up and pay, where are they? People need to be ready when it's time to put their money where their mouth is. They talk a big game, but don't back it up." This sparked a viral comment that really struck a chord with viewers, keeping the conversation going. He watched that Lil Baby interview and knows Rico is getting closer. The feds are moving fast to catch him, and DJ Academics even told him he might be next. Wack 100 recently spoke about him, saying you're next. He couldn't help but wonder why someone would say that. Was Wack hoping for it, or just pointing out the obvious? Maybe it wasn't a wish, just a reminder that the feds often go after big names. If Foolio is on their radar, it's because he's become a major target. Now they're saying you're the only one left to make things happen, but why me? I've lived my whole life making sure no one gets the upper hand, and I'm not about to let that change now. With his passing, does that mean it's all over? No, it's never really over. Academics then talked about Yungeen Ace's life and a tough moment from a few years ago. Ace was leaving a restaurant when a group of people started harassing him, and sadly, something terrible happened to his friend that night. "My brother was dying, and I tried everything to save him. I was holding an AR, struggling to get the door open. I kept saying, 'I've got you,' but he told me he couldn't move. I grabbed his shirt, but he was stuck. I jumped out, opened the car door, and called for help." Now, with the authorities coming after him, it's clear that Yungeen Ace has been a target for a while. Jacksonville Sheriff TK Waters put out a public message to Ace and his crew, ATK, after Julio Foolio's guys were caught. Ace has been a big name in Jacksonville for a long time. We're always keeping an eye on that group and others like them. There are people watching their every move. I can't comment on the chief's investigation, that's up to TPD, but we're not currently investigating him. Still, he can't go anywhere in Jacksonville without us knowing, and that's for the safety of our community. Not long after, news broke that a TK rapper Yungeen Ace was questioned by police about the recent Julio Foolio incident. The authorities are taking this situation very seriously. The rapper is being questioned about his recent actions, and it looks like things are about to take a serious turn. To try and stop Yungeen Ace's business, the police have been canceling all his shows, believing he's the main one behind everything and might be arrested soon. Right now, 5 people are locked up in connection with Julio Foolio's death, including Davon, Shah, Rashad, and Alicia Pauly. Yungeen Ace was frustrated, asking, "I don't get how they do it, but they always find a way to call and cancel my shows. What's up with that? Why do I all want to cancel my shows? I don't even live in Jacksonville. Why mess with my money? Why are you trying to ruin my life just because you're worried about what I've got going on? I'm not even involved with you. Why y'all keep canceling all my shows? Just recently I had a show in Tampa, and they canceled it. I had one in Virginia, and that got canceled too. Even Gainesville canceled." His anger comes from one thing, a video that blew up and got a lot of attention. The rapper came forward online and admitted that he was the one who attacked Julio Foolio. "On everything I love, bro, on my homies, I swear I did it. I put it on my soul, on my kids. I'm the one who smacked Julio Foolio that night at his birthday. I'm not going to show my face or reveal my identity, but yeah, I did that. There was money on his head. I messed with Ace and his crew. ATK, I'm out here in Jacksonville, you feel me?" It's clear that this situation is deeper than just one moment, and the rapper is standing by his actions. You know how it goes. If you know, you know. But yeah, I did that. I took care of it because Ace had money on Julio's head. He put up 10K and told me to handle it. Julio kept running his mouth and playing games, and Ace was tired of it. So I did what needed to be done, and that's just how it is. This just adds to the evidence pointing to Yungeen Ace being the one behind Julio Foolio's death, and the authorities are digging deeper into the situation. Julio Foolio, born on June 21, 1998, was ambushed by rival street members early Sunday morning in Tampa, and it all started because of social media. What should have been a fun weekend celebrating his birthday quickly turned into a nightmare. After arriving at the B&B his group had rented, Foolio posted this on his Instagram story. "The pool party starts at 5 or 6. If you already have the address, pull up. If you need it, DM me right now. The pool party starts at 5 or 6. DM me for the details." He was just trying to get the party started, but it all went wrong in a way no one saw coming. Foolio posted on his Instagram giving everyone the details. Yo, we just got here, bro. You got the address. You got the address? Man, pull up. We just got to Tampa, Florida. If you already got the address, pull up at 5:30. Let's get everything right. Pull up at 5:30 or 6:00. It's only a 2-hour party. As the party kicked off, Foolio shared photos showing off the fun. He let everyone know there was alcohol available and he was having a great time with a few women by his side. But little did he know, things were about to go downhill fast. The girls in the room were laughing, thinking it was all pretty funny. This was just the start of some big mistakes made by Foolio and Yungeen Ace. They both knew his phone was tracking him and they were already planning how to expose everything he was doing. Foolio shared every detail of his night with his crew and millions of followers, not realizing it was all going to come back to him. Then, about an hour later, the cops showed up at the Airbnb. They called the landlord, who decided to kick Foolio and his group out. After leaving the place, Foolio posted on Instagram, letting everyone know what he was planning to do next. Foolio dropped a flyer on his social media, inviting everyone to a nearby club and made sure to add the address so no one would miss it. It seemed like he was trying to break a record for dropping the most location pins in a single day. With over 1 million followers, he definitely had a big audience. When he got to the club, Foolio posted again, letting everyone know exactly where he was sitting. He even shared that he was heading to the upstairs lounge. "It's my birthday, man. Everybody come upstairs," he wrote, excited for the night ahead. The vibe was intense as everyone made sure there was enough time for the operations team to plan and get the lay of the land. It was the 23rd, a big day for Yungeen Ace and his crew, and they were determined to make something happen that day. After everything went down, they all met up in the parking lot. Foolio's manager checked out a Holiday Inn down the street, looking for a place to stay. While that was going on, rumors started to swirl, and it was clear that something big was unfolding. Everyone began driving over, and the tension was high. The parking lot was quiet at first, but that didn't last long. Soon, cars started pulling in, catching the attention of everyone around. Men dressed in all black, wearing ski masks, got out of the vehicles, guns in hand, and pointed them right at Foolio's group. A few of them were specifically looking for Foolio. What happened next seemed like it was coming. The song When I See You dropped on the 23rd, and its lyrics were a clear shot at Yungeen Ace, mocking him for losing his brothers on that exact day. It was a response to Foolio's birthday celebration, and it only made the tension worse. The beef had reached a boiling point, and now it was time for things to get real. The situation took a tragic turn when 4 people were hit, and sadly, 3 of them didn't survive. Foolio's constant dissing seemed to come back to bite him on the 23rd, the exact day he mocked Ace in his song. Those lyrics taunted Ace for losing his brothers, and that day, retaliation hit hard. Yungeen Ace and his crew weren't playing around, they hit back, leaving 4 people hurt. It was no coincidence. 6 hours later, Ace dropped a diss track called Do It aimed straight at Foolio just after hearing about what had happened earlier that day. Ace wasn't letting this go, and it was clear the tension between them was far from over. Yungeen Ace's close friend shared an old tweet from King Von on Instagram that read, "Game over, we won." Stupid things took an even darker turn when we spoke to Foolio just a month before he passed. He told us something unexpected. He wanted to make a song with both sides. His goal was simple: to end the violence and stop the back and forth that had been going on for so long. He wasn't just talking either. Foolio said that even though tensions were high, he and Jay Bree had a plan. They wanted to create a song that would reach the youth, give them something positive to look up to, and stop the crime and hatred that had been hurting their communities. This was supposed to be a turning point, something that could change the game for the younger generation, but tragically that moment never came. The violence continued and the dream of peace was lost with his passing. Yungeen Ace and Jay Breezy had a big idea. They wanted to make a song that could stop the violence in their community. They both were passionate about it and even got support from Ace's cousin, who believed in the project too. They were ready to make it happen. The thought that maybe everything could have been different, that the violence could have stopped, really upset people, especially after what happened. But not everyone saw it the same way. Charleston White, a guy who's never afraid to speak his mind, had his own reaction. When he was asked about it, he didn't sugarcoat his words. He said, "All I'm gonna say is, he worked hard and he's here, but goddamn, no one should be." His words were raw and got a lot of attention. It was his way of expressing the frustration many people felt about how things turned out, even though it was tough for everyone to process. Charleston White kept it real when he said, "Look, it's a sad situation, but nobody should be feeling sorry for what happened to Foolio." He didn't hold back, adding, "One thing's for sure, he didn't end up in heaven, that's the truth." Charleston made it clear that Foolio had chances to make things right, but he never did. He had all this time to apologize, but instead he was out there dissing people, even rapping at graveyards and making moms cry, White explained. He didn't stop there, saying that some people might feel relieved, almost like they could finally breathe after everything. But then there were others who couldn't help but cry, feeling the weight of the situation. Charleston's words hit hard because they showed how complicated everything really was. Some might feel justice was served, while others are just left with sadness over how much pain and loss this all caused. Alright, so here's the deal. Things took a weird turn when Julio Foolio got pulled over back in April 2022. He was driving his Dodge Durango with illegal window tint, nothing major, just a regular stop. But here's where it gets strange. A prosecutor shows up out of nowhere after the cops pull him over. Instead of just dealing with the ticket, the prosecutor takes Foolio into the patrol car and starts asking him about ATK Mitch's death. Now, this wasn't just a random questioning. The prosecutor was digging into something much bigger, and it left a lot of people wondering what was really going on. It was clear that this wasn't just about a simple traffic stop. It was part of a much larger, complicated situation. The way everything played out just added more mystery to the whole situation. So, what do you think? Is there more to this story than meets the eye? When they got Foolio in the car, things quickly shifted. They weren't wasting any time, and the tension was clear. They wanted answers about Mitch's death, and Foolio could feel it coming. As soon as they started asking questions, he knew this wasn't just a casual conversation. The first question from the prosecutor was straightforward. What do you do for a living? Foolio didn't hesitate, offering a simple answer. I'm an artist. It was a brief response, but then the prosecutor followed up with a question that changed the tone of the conversation. What are you hearing about Mitch's death? For a split second, Foolio froze. His face remained calm, but you could see the tension building beneath the surface. His eyes shifted, a subtle sign that he was processing the gravity of the moment. Well, I was in Miami when I heard about it. He responded, careful not to reveal too much, but undeniably trying to maintain his composure. The prosecutor seemed intent on digging deeper, trying to pull something more from him, but Foolio wasn't ready to let go of any details just yet. At this point, it was clear that this was no longer just a simple conversation. The questions were becoming more pointed, more deliberate, and the stakes were getting higher with each word spoken. Foolio had always been able to handle pressure, but the weight of this situation was unlike anything he had faced before. The questions weren't just casual inquiries anymore. They were pointing towards something much larger, a web of connections and implications that Foolio wasn't sure he was prepared to navigate. It was as though he had been unwittingly pulled into a situation far beyond his control. Foolio had been minding his business, just making music, when the news of Mitch's death broke. He first saw the news flooding his Instagram feed, and the weight of it all hit him in waves. People were talking, speculating, and mourning, but Foolio wasn't sure what to make of it. It was hard to process at first. He hadn't been close to Mitch, but he knew him well enough to feel the sting of the loss. The social media chatter intensified, and soon it became impossible to ignore the whispers that were growing louder with each passing hour. As the investigation unfolded, Foolio found himself being drawn into it. The detective leading the case was relentless, determined to connect the dots between him and Mitch. Questions came faster now, each one more intense than the last. How did you know Mitch? The detective pressed. Where were you when he passed away? The detective's words were sharp, precise. There was no room for evasion. I've got a lot of friends, but I can't say we were real close, man, Foolio replied, his voice steady but tinged with an unease that was hard to mask. He was a good dude, though. Foolio's mind raced as he spoke, wondering how much he should reveal. It was a delicate balance, trying to stay honest without revealing anything that could make him seem more involved than he was. The detective, however, wasn't satisfied with the simple answer. The pressure was mounting. This wasn't just about Mitch anymore. It was about Foolio's place in the narrative, his role in the bigger story that was unfolding. The case was taking on a life of its own, and Foolio was trapped in the middle of it all. The more he thought about it, the more he realized that this was no ordinary investigation. It was a storm of suspicion, rumors, and unexpected connections, and Foolio wasn't sure where it would lead or how deep it ran. With each question, Foolio felt the pressure building, but he kept his calm. He knew that one wrong move could lead to more trouble. It wasn't just about Mitch's death, it was about staying afloat in a situation that had spiraled far beyond what Foolio ever anticipated. As he sat there, the truth felt slippery, just out of reach, and the walls of the interrogation room seemed to close in a little tighter with every passing moment. The detective wasn't letting up. He asked Foolio, can you tell me a little about your relationship with Mitch? When did you meet him? How long have you two been close? Foolio tried to keep his cool, but it was obvious they were getting serious about finding out more. Even though Foolio kept denying anything, the detectives were still digging. They knew he had some connection to Mitch, and they weren't going to back down. The detective pushed further. If you know Mitch's mom, you'd want her to have some answers, right? You'd want to help her out. Foolio got frustrated when the cops brought up his music being tied to local crimes. He kept denying any connection to Mitch's death, especially since his lyrics seemed to include details that only the police knew about. The detective asked, do your lyrics reflect your lifestyle? Could that have anything to do with Mitch? Foolio shot back, no, even before I started rapping, I was doing my own thing. You can't just judge me by my music. He was clearly getting annoyed, trying to distance himself from everything they were suggesting. say it's my music that why somebody, when I'm saying, okay, do you think it influenced someone or trigger someone like the way why all going back and forth with, do you feel that way? Noah song can't make no. As a result, many were furious at Foolio for lying to the police. ATK Mitch's family is curious about what happened to their cherished kid, but Foolio will not comment. Many people interpreted Julio Foolio's death in 2024 as retaliation against a Mitch, which is why authorities are considering locking up young people.